1 week when you lost 3 pounds. So in the first week, you lost 3 pounds on this, right?
That is correct.
Your GLP-1 is a natural hormone that's in every single one of our bodies. And your GLP-1 lets you know if you're full. It's a satiety hormone. So when your GLP is working properly, it does help suppress your appetite as well as reduce those cravings. It's a sugar-free fast melt caramel. So what it's going to do best is it's going to reduce your sugar cravings or any other cravings you have in your body. It's going to suppress that appetite. But where Melissa got the most benefit, I think, over the last week was the L-carnitine. The L-carnitine tells your mitochondria, this is where you make, we've talked about it before, this is where you produce energy in your cells. It actually tells those mitochondria to burn fat for fuel. We're noticing other people losing up to 7 pounds in the first week. 4 pounds has been about the average. As you lose weight and as you take these Bella Melts, it's going to help lower that blood sugar in your body as well.
All the information is there. MelissaHouseBG.com, MelissaHouseBG.com. Just now introducing for the first time Bella Melt with GLP-1 fast action.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to another episode of Live Up to Freedom. I appreciate you joining me today. We are live on worldviewtube.com, also on WorldviewTube app, Rumble, and X. We're also live on XAmerica News on X and live on my platforms on Rumble, both my YouTube channels, Facebook, and Substack. As always, I will invite you to join the discussion with your comments, questions, concerns, agreements, or disagreements, because that makes the show way more easy to get through. Hi, Lisa, and I saw you said hi at the beginning while we were running the intro. It's good to see you. There's a lot to talk about, as always, and I will talk about as much of it as I can. We will touch on Mamdani in a bit of a different way on our probably second, third, and fourth, or third and fourth segment. But for the first segment, I want to talk to you about just a few developments of yesterday, since I was on air until now, on the peace deal, the everlasting peace. I'll never get tired of saying that without a straight face. Okay, I want to address two questions, or I shouldn't say two questions, two comments. One of them was a question on my Substack, which are very genuine. I reported on my Substack this morning that with JD Vance arriving in Israel, the goal of, apparently he basically said why he's going to Israel or why he's in Israel, and his sole goal is to step into phase 2 of the peace deal. There was a comment on that report of how do you step into phase 2 when phase 1 hasn't even been established. Great question, or a comment, however you want to phrase it. So, but let me tell you why. This right here should tell you everything you need to know about this deal, this peace deal. It was not, from the beginning, this wasn't going to be what a lot of people thought it would be. But even now, a lot of those people who thought this was another attempt to create two-state solution, create peace, this is about the people of Gaza, people of Israel, people of anywhere, now you should come to realization it's not. This whole charade, as I called it yesterday, and I will continue calling it that, regardless of all the attacks and all the labels I'm receiving, this charade has been about business from day one. For many given reasons, Gaza is now the target of the globalists. Yes. When you read through the 20 points, last week we got through 9 of them, I believe. And one of those 9 was that there will be a temporary government in Gaza, transitional government. None of this is about neither Israel or Jews or Christians or Middle East or Gazans or poor Palestinians or Hamas or Hezbollah for that matter. This is their eyes are on Gaza now. So they don't care if phase one happened or not. They don't. They want to get to the phase where they send their people in there to build their 15-minute city and prove to the world that, look, this works. This works. The rest of it will be just a bunch of, footnote and shadows or outlines of the main goal. They don't care. Now, do we have Trump? Another thing I reported on my Substack this morning was President Trump has said, I started my report with same narrative as every day, but no actions. He said something of, if Hamas doesn't behave and if Hamas doesn't disarm, we'll finish them. How many times have you heard that? Not just from Trump, from so many other people. At this point, you need to realize this isn't your tough president talking. It's not. How many, but he also added, I should say this is important, I added the insert where he said, American allies, now, by the way, this is where it's ridiculous. He said American allies are ready to finish Hamas. However, I told them not yet. There is still hope that Hamas will disarm and Hamas will behave. Why is this ridiculous? I said before I paraphrase his words. American allies, does he not realize this is about Israel? This is about the Jews whose life has turned upside down since 2006, farther down, but since 2006 when it comes to Hamas. It's about their daughters being raped, their babies being killed, their wives being kidnapped, their sons being killed. President Trump, this has nothing, again, I said it yesterday, I'll say it again. This ain't your business. I know, just like the rest of American presidents, you're out there trying to crown yourself, but at least try to pretend you care for the Jewish people. You care for the Gazan people. You care for any of the people in Middle East. At least try to pretend. Are these American allies? First of all, you really need to check on your allies because clearly you have lost the meaning of a nation's ally versus your personal growth business billions made allies. Just like you refer to Qatar as your ally, yes, Qatar has been your family business ally since 2018. They have been, yes. But Qatar has never been an ally of America as a nation. They have never come to rescue. They have never given us any intelligence information like Mossad to save lives. But if you want to go with your allies in this fight, again, remember, this isn't about you or your crown or your legacy. I'm not going to even bother with biblical verses because clearly you have stepped aside. You donated your Bible and apparently you don't have a second copy to read. But at least pretend. Every single day you're giving more time to Hamas, just like you're giving time to the mullahs in Iran, which is a topic that I have talked about and I will continue talking about. You talk all the tough talk. Even the supreme leader at this point of Iran is calling you a blabbermouth because you've done a lot of tough talking. But seems like you either don't understand the patience you're supposedly showing, because some of your supporters would love to tell me, I'm glad you're not dealing with this deal. You're not leading this deal because your patience is of a 3-year-old. Disregarding the fact that I have had to face this Islam thing since I was born, and I am 41 years old as I sit here talk to you, and in 2 months I will be 42. So for them to think my patience when it comes to Islam, rape, murder, forced marriages, jihad, coffers, conquer, as of a 3-year-old just tells me how much they don't know anything. But if I was about to not get personal with that specific comment, apparently some of your supporters, Mr. President Trump, are just as deluded as you are, thinking giving time to any jihadist will earn you anything except blood. Again, this is why history is important. This is why on my Substack I write plenty on history of Islam from Muhammad to today. Because when you look at it, you realize nothing has changed on their end. Today there was a report that I'm pretty sure, again, you probably won't find it anywhere on the sources you follow in America or Canada or Europe. As I mentioned yesterday, Erdogan sent in his guys, the serviceman, to help with locating dead bodies, right? Guess what they got this morning? Now, the report wasn't clear if JD Vance had anything to do with negotiating this or not, so I'll keep him out of it until I have confirmation. But at least the Israeli government, or better yet, Netanyahu made a deal with Erdogan that 51, that's 5-1, 51 people will be allowed to leave Gaza, freely leave Gaza. Out of that 51 people, 15 of them are family members of Ismail Haniyeh. Do you remember him? The head of Hamas that was recently killed. 15 of his family members just got a free pass and amnesty to leave Gaza through negotiations with Turkey. What am I to think of that? Now, it did happen when JD Vance was there. As I said, do I think he played a role? Yes, because remember, there was a reason we brought Erdogan to our White House, and then suddenly he became an ally in this negotiations. What am I to think of that? Hamas has still not delivered the bodies of the hostages. They still hold on to 15 of them. 15. They started with 24, then went to 27, then went to 19, and now, as of right now, is 15. So who's getting more? Tell me, who's getting more out of this so-called deal? Qatar, Turkey, Egypt, Hamas, and he has family members, 15 of them, free pass. And now the report isn't telling me who are the remaining of that 51. Because remember, part of the 20 plans was the Hamas members who agreed to this deal would get amnesty. And I remember when a lot of his supporters said, don't get ahead of yourself. He's not going to let that happen, him being Trump. He's not going to let that happen until all points are met. Well, maybe you should reread all of it, because a lot of points that were in benefit of Hamas are already happening. And JD Vance thinks it's time to step into phase 2. So again, I have no idea, this willful blindness. I don't know what you think you're going to achieve with this. Comfort today, cheer patting yourself in the back that you elected the right person. I don't know what you're getting out of it, but I know what's coming. Not too far from today. For those of you who prefer to stay in denial, reject knowledge from those of us who have been pretty much dealing with this cult for, well, my whole life. We gotta go take our first ad break. I'm going over. We'll be right back, and I will address your comments. I see them coming in. Well, hello everybody. It's Annie Cyrus. Welcome to my art studio where all the magic happens. This is the station for painting, and that is the station for all the resin art I do. If you want to check out my art, all you gotta do is go to lutfstudio.com. Finish this painting, but I'm sure, or at least I hope, I'll see you at lutfstudio.com. Dr. Freedom, Thomas, I am seeing on the comments that it seems like my audio is low on the out of the feed. I can't tell because I don't hear myself, but our audience are having problem with the volume. If it could just boost the volume a little bit, I would appreciate it. And yes, The deal is going on at lutfstudio.com. 30% off entire store. Oh, and to our audience, if the audio gets better, let me know. I'll check. 30% off entire store, all items. And on top of that, you can use promo code MISSION to get an extra 10% off. And I am taking custom orders. So if you see an item, our ornament seems to be the best sellers today. So if you like the ornament designs and you have your own color theme of Christmas decorations, just go on lutfstudio.com. When you scroll down on the left side, when you're done with the categories, there's a link that says contact the seller. When you click on that, you can write me directly, say, hey, Annie, I need 2, 3, 1, 5, 10, up to, I can provide up to 10 packages of ornaments. Just say, what are your color choices? Glitter, no glitter, fine glitter, chunk of glitter, whatever you want, and I will get on your order immediately. And if you see something you already like on the store, you can just grab it, and I will greatly appreciate the support. Dawn is still having problem with the audio. I have no idea, guys, where the it is, but give us a minute, Thomas. We'll figure it out. And I'm on my normal volume. I'm not low, but Thomas, let me know if I need to do anything on my end. Okay, Sandy says it's not loud enough, but it's much better. Good. So whatever we're doing, it's going to work, hopefully soon. Fantastic. Appreciate you, Thomas. Okay, in meantime, I'm going to try to boost my end of talking volume a little bit. Also, since we're talking about support, guys, especially on Substack, I appreciate you being here. Within next 2 weeks, I really need 30 more paid subscribers on my account. And I am hoping that I have provided enough shows, writings, and reporting daily to gain 30 more paid subscribers. Tell your friends and family members who are on Substack, tell them about my page, and see if we can reach 30 subscribers by end of October, I believe, is the month. Okay, I see a lot of good comments, so let me go ahead and take the time to read your comments. Peace and safety deals with devil. Exactly, Lisa Ann. And that's the thing. We hear the lectures when Democrats are in White House, right? We hear the lecture all day long about it, making a deal with the devil. But I don't know. I don't know what this Trump guy has on people. I really don't know. And I don't, Lisa and also say who's in charge beats me. I have no idea. I mean, for me and you, God is in charge. But on this earth that is ran and controlled by the devil, we don't know who are in charge and who are the people who are pulling the strings. But it's definitely not. In America, we, the people, are no longer in charge of our country. That I can guarantee you. Think about the picture. This comes from Sue on Substack. Think about the picture. Trump posted when he first retook office was of him and Elon Musk sitting in their lawn chairs on a beach, eating with a picture of a hotel in the background with the name Trump Gaza on it. You are right, Sue. I don't forget things. You are right. There was also an AI-generated video of Elon Musk and Trump rebuilding Gaza into a resort. You are very correct. Thanks for reminding me of that. That did happen. Zelda says Trump's spiritual advisors are dominionist, globalist by definition. That is very true. I agree. But here's one thing, Zelda, I have said on Brennan House before, is when you go back and look at his campaign videos running the first time, you'll see him say things like, we have an Islam problem, we have a Muslim problem, there's a handful of moderate, the rest of them want to kill us, yada, yada, yada. Point is, Yeah, it's like, let's say I hire advisors for whatever reason. I don't know. I hire an editor for my book, and they come back and say, hey, here where you said this and that, you should change the Islam to radical Islam, and you should change this. And I have the knowledge. I'm not going to listen to their advice of changing words in my book, right? So if Trump won the first time by pretending he has the knowledge of Islam problem, I can't give him the spiritual advisors or national security advisor excuse. I can't. The first time I gave him a lot of brick, not on Islam thing, on the other issues, saying he has bad advisors and he doesn't have the knowledge. But this time around, when it comes to Islam, to Gaza, to Hamas, to Palestine, Qatar, any of them, there's a video of him coming out flat out calling Qatar as funders of terrorism. He has the knowledge. When you have the knowledge, there is no way for me to blame your advisors as fault to make you make the wrong move. If you listen to your advisors with advice and knowledge against your own knowledge, then you are purposely sabotaging the scenario, whatever that scenario might be. At least that's my very strong belief. Good afternoon, Theo. Great to see you. Okay, let's see what Kim said on Substack. I have thoughts about yesterday. The idea, if there was one thing you could rid the world of, what would it be? Islam, common answer. I am someone who's called to deal with victims of satanic ritual abuse. The evil that is done to children, especially during Halloween and Christmas. The demons are behind all of the extremely wicked people in the world. I can't wait until the new heaven and new earth are created, the true Prince of Peace and the only one who brings the everlasting peace. Correct, Kim. And I appreciate you doing what you do. Not many people would do it. And yes, satanic cults, including Islam, need to be done. They need to be removed. Listen, we can't ever claim, at least Christians, we can claim, we can request for the devil to be removed or the evil doers to be removed, because we can't. But we can most certainly try our best to remove, eliminate, or minimize the organized satanic cults in our world. And the biggest, longest lasting one is Islam, which goes back to why Islam should be removed. Yes, Lisa, and I am heavily shadow banned everywhere. I actually made an announcement on my Facebook last night that I am not investing much time on Facebook any longer, between the shadow banning and also people's lack of efforts. Because that's the thing, sometimes it's just simple. You go find somebody's page, you follow their page, and then you just check on them, right? You don't see a post from them in a day or two. I do that. I go and check on their website or their Facebook and see what they're up to. People are just a little too lazy. I've said this before. I say it again. One of the reasons I became extremely attracted to Substack is the fact that it's for writers and readers. Those of us who are still into reading and writing, we still kept that natural intelligence active. Instead of a scroll like, a scroll like, a scroll like, a scroll like. Majority of people are like that, though. Majority of people on Facebook, on X, on TikTok, on Instagram, they just want to see a picture or a short clip version of something. They like it and they move on because that's all they care for. And that's exactly why lies, like today's lies, are sold so easily, because most people they reject the knowledge. They don't even know what to think of the scenario because they don't even know what's going on. Yesterday on my show, I said, why do people think Middle East equals Qatar, Turkey, Gaza, and Israel? There are way more countries than 4, and that's why. They don't know. I have spoken to a lot of people who, when I ask them, they're like, well, the situation in Middle East, it's very scary, and they need to stop, and they need to do this, and like, for example, we can't have this and that happening in this country. And I stop them like, whoa, that country is not in Middle East. They're like, what? I'm like, that country is in Asia. West Central Asia, but not in Middle East. They look at me like, wait, but it's an Islamic Arab country. Not all Islamic Arab countries are Middle East, right? They're in Asia mainly. They're also in Africa, by the way, some of them. But that's the lack of knowledge. So when somebody tells them, like Trump and his entire PR campaign tell them peace in Middle East, they believe it because they think those are the only 4 countries that exist in Middle East, because their knowledge doesn't go farther than that. I don't think they can name the states in America. Forget about how many countries are in Middle East. Anyhow, so yes, that was the response to your comment on the shadow banning. And yes, Blair, Vance is a technocrat. No question about it. He's a big fan of Palantir. He was, remember, his name was dropped into President Trump's hat by Elon Musk. J.D. Vance was nowhere near Trump's radar. Musk, who back then was buddies with Trump and advisor and a lot of things, he put Vance's name in the hat, which right there should have been a red flag. But, well, we're not allowed to talk bad about J.D. Vance either. Okay, let me see. Do we have, thank you, Sandra. Inas, may the Lord heal you. In the meantime, may he use the trial of pain for your good and his glory. Yes, since this is a Substack comment, I tried to get up this morning. I was awake, but I was trying to get up and do the morning reporting and work on the topics of the show and write a Substack, which I'm not completely done with. But as I was sitting there and trying, I actually said a prayer. I'm like, Lord, can I request a couple of days off on heavy load and slow down? And then I looked at myself of the prayer. I'm like, girl, you do realize you don't do this, because then you're putting your own desire of killing yourself by doing too much on God, and he would never ask for that. So I realized if it's need for me to slow down and do less, then I should just slow down and do less and do better, rather than trying to keep up with all the volume of work I do and then just not do good or right. So I appreciate what you said. It hit me this morning as well. Perfect. And thank you, Thomas. I appreciate. I didn't forget, but thank you. Seems like the audio is working much better. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Since you can all hear me now, that's great. I'm trying to scroll up here and YouTube is not allowing me. I see these few comments. There you go. Johnny says Mamdani lied on his application for citizenship and must be deported. He's a radical Islamist who is also communist. We'll get to Mamdani on the next segment, guys. We have a lot to say about him, and we'll address what you just said. But quickly, Johnny, he's not a radical Islamist. He's a Muslim. Let's go take our next ad break, guys. When we come back, we're going to dive in and get into the whole Mamdani scenario. Don't go anywhere.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. I want to thank you for all your support at wvwfoundation.com that helps make possible pushing out 24/7 content for free. Without your support, we'd have to put it all behind a paywall. But thanks to you and your support through our foundation, we're able to push it out for free as a broadcast service and broadcast ministry of WVW Foundation. Please consider going there and setting up an automatic monthly contribution, or go there and make an occasional contribution. If you prefer to support us through the mail, you'll find our mailing address there at wvwfoundation.com. You can also call and make your contribution over the phone by calling 901-825-0652. That's 901-825-0652. Again, all these details are available at wvwfoundation.com. Thank you for your support as we try to help people around the world understand the times through the lens of a Christian worldview.
Welcome back to Live Up to Freedom. Thank you so much for staying with me until now. I appreciate it, and I appreciate your comments and engagement with the show. Okay, Mamdani. Let's talk Mamdani. At this point, there is no secret about his Islamist socialist stance. We all know that. It's established. You know, people have made up their mind. So I'm going to start here. Exactly 2 weeks from today, Mamdani, the election is taking place. And Mamdani is going to win this. He will win this. Number one reason is, have you looked at the other candidates? Genuinely. The Republican guy isn't even all there. I watched the entire debate. I don't ask why I do this to myself. I just do. I watched their entire 2 hours, some minutes of debate between the three candidates. And the entire time I told myself, I'm like, we don't know any of these people, okay? We're just going to listen. You're going to turn off your investigative journalism, your background, your knowledge, whatever it is. You're just going to listen. And I did. And at the end of the debate, I said, I will vote for this guy. If I was just, Emma, darling, you're literally pulling me off my chair. Sorry. Okay, great. You also poked me. Let me use this hand to not let her distract. If I was just, some person somewhere in New York City, and I would listen to this debate, I would go vote for this person. This guy is sharp. He showed up ready, very ready. The other two guys, I think one of them is Como. He already doesn't have a chance. He did if Mamdani didn't show up. But he doesn't have a chance. One, in that debate, Mamdani definitely wiped the floor with Como. He did. Secondly, a lot of New York City residents are already tired of him, his Democrat mentality, and his pretty much making no difference. And then the Republican guy that I can't even remember his name. That's how much he wasn't there. I can't remember his name. But whatever his name is, the guy isn't even there. He has no fight. He has no argument. He has no answers. And when he's asked on a direct question of, I think one of the questions was on all three of them, they were asked to name their favorite or hero of modern day president. The guy named a governor. Who would vote for a person who doesn't know the difference between, like, he's on early stages of becoming Biden. So that's number one. The guy showed up. He showed up sharp. He is young. And he had everything so nicely wrapped, very nicely wrapped in such nice packaging. And I use this because if you look at my Etsy account, Artist Studio, you'll see majority of my reviews, which I'm very grateful for, they mention something about the packaging when they received the product, the way it was packaged and how it was gift ready. That's life. One of the reasons I do that is, I want to represent my art, so why not take an extra step and package it nicely? And I want to show gratitude to the person who could have buy a piece of art from somebody else, but they put their money in my art, so I want to show gratitude. It's just the psychology of it. This man did the same thing on that debate. Everything was wrapped in such a great gifting wrap and a bow and a card, a thank you card on it. Me watching it, turning off my knowledge, pretending like I'm not, I'm 22 years old in New York City. I don't know much. I've seen a lot of pro-Palestinian rallies. And he would get my attention. He would definitely get my attention. Though we don't have too much time, there are a few clips of that debate that we're going to try to watch. If we can start the first clip that starts at 43:48. This is where you know what I mean by so nicely gift wrapped. Though when you listen, you're like, whoa, this is a bad idea. But you don't hear the bad idea until you think about what he said. The presentation of this moment is flawlessly wrapped. Let's take a listen.
Okay, Mr. Mamdani, how will you make the city safer, and how will you change the NYPD?
Thank you. This is the concern for so many New Yorkers, and I'm proud to have a comprehensive plan to bring new ideas to this city. If you want more of the same, vote for Andrew Cuomo. If you want an actual approach to lower crime, look at our Department of Community Safety. That is something that has been hailed by experts as addressing so many of the pieces of why New Yorkers are not feeling safe today. We will ensure that no longer are police officers asked to do the job of both policing and responding to the mental health crisis. We will have dedicated teams of mental health outreach workers in the top 100 subway stations with the highest levels of the mental health crisis and homelessness. We will ensure that cops can finally go back to the response times they used to have in 2020, closer to 11 minutes, as opposed to the closer to 16 minutes today, because they won't be asked to respond to the 200,000 mental health calls that are coming in through 911 every year. This is evidence-based. It's been successful elsewhere in the country. It's time we deliver it right here in New York City. It's time for a change.
Thank you, Mr. Mamdani.
Zohran Mamdani, we already.
So nicely wrapped, right? We're going to cut down on response time. Honestly, any resident, me, myself, thankfully, our police response time here is like 5 seconds. But if I'm in New York City, like the difference between 11 minutes and 16 minutes is huge. It's huge, right? Perfectly wrapped. But then you take the wrapper and the bow out. You're like, oh, I see. So we're going to send social workers to what you would call a mental health crisis, where people will be killed, shot, dead. Social workers would be killed as well. And the whole story he's laying on the ground are the socialist narrative. But then something interesting, and again, you hear the tone. We can't like him, don't like him, hate him, want him, not want him. The guy has that standing charisma. He knows how to play the hands. He's got a coach. He's got a great coach, which I will get to, the main point of why I'm concerned with him winning. He's got a great coach. He's very coachable. He has come a long way. And he presents this where our police officers can go back being police officers and being so great, and safety comes to the city and all that. But there is a, excuse me, let me try to find it before I call for it, because I don't want to have the wrong one up. But there is Thomas the Fourth, the last X video I sent of the Right Angle News. If we could play it, let's listen to this video and then talk about the contradiction here.
What did the police think about Zohran? Because I know that's like a little contentious.
Just what they think. You're a city employee. You get told what to do. Shut up. When did you get an opinion?
Huh. Mamdani, who is so concerned with getting our police officers to not having to answer to 200,000 calls a year that is only related to mental health issues, his campaign canvassing director was asked, what does Mamdani think of the police? And you heard the answer, just in case if you didn't, because he was one of those undercover filming. He pretty much says, who blank gives a blank what police thinks. They're city employees, and you shut up and you don't get an opinion. Oops. So do we care for the crime rate, and do we care for our police officers to not have to pull double duty of a police officer and a social worker, or do we not even care about what they think? Because your campaign canvas director just flat out said, you don't care, and very disrespectfully, he just told all the officers, all police officers of New York City, to shut it. Not my words, the guy's words. He literally said it. When do they get an opinion? How can, and I'm not going to go there, because I want to make sure we get to everything we need to get to. That is the packaging. Again, most people, however, most people, I don't think I have many audience from New York altogether, let alone New York City, because the brainwash of pro-Palestinian has been going on there for too long. But how many of the residents of New York City are going to go beyond what they heard on the debate and look for this kind of evidence to prove him to be a liar and a hypocrite. Not many. Now, let's play the other clip. This one starts at 24:25, and this one is literally just a minute, but another very nicely packaged wrap presentation where, well, let's just hear it.
Respond.
You know, it took Andrew Cuomo being beaten by a Muslim candidate in the Democratic primary for him to set foot in a mosque. He had more than 10 years, and he couldn't name a single mosque at the last debate we had that he visited. And what Muslims want in this city is what every community wants and deserves. They want equality and they want respect. And it took me to get you to even see those Muslims as part of this city. And that, frankly, is something that is shameful and is why so many New Yorkers have lost faith in this politics.
Yeah, except,
you know,
as a
Oh my goodness, did you all hear that so flawlessly packaged victim card? Como did not go to a mosque. I didn't know that about Como, by the way. It's good for him. But he played the perfect victim card. However, within those sentences, what did he say? It took me to get you to go to a mosque. Now, I can talk about this 1 minute we just watched for a full hour, you know me. Because number one, why does it matter? Why does a mayor or a governor or a president or a Congress member, why do they need to go to a mosque if they're not Muslim, or a synagogue if they're not a Jew, or a church if they're not a Christian? This is Mr. Mamdani. I've been warned many times that I need to put my biblical values aside when I sit here and lecture Trump. You don't get to play. Now, I know a lot of people who watch it, again, another reason they're going to go vote for him, because poor Mamdani, who in another moment of this clip, debate, said that he's done so much for the Jews and he talks to the Jews and but he doesn't name a single synagogue he has attended. Where was the last church you went to, Mr. Mamdani, as a mayor candidate, not as an interfaith dialogue member, as a mayor candidate? When was the church you went to? But there you go. What do all the Muslims of the city want? Equality. And we all know what that means when Mamdani says it. That is the equality of, what do you think it is? Can we put up I know we're almost out of time on the third segment, Thomas, but can we put up the very first tweet real quick so I can show what is the equality they're looking for? Look at that. Oh, Mamdani posted this picture so proudly, rambling on, but the guy in this picture with the Imam in the full white is Siraj Wahhaj. Imam Siraj Wahhaj, that Mamdani called a leading, leading a spiritual Imam of Muslims. What he failed to mention on this tweet is that Imam Wahhaj is also an unindicted co-conspirator in the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. This is the equal opportunities Mamdani is asking for, people. He will proudly put this kind of pictures and videos up, and he's not the mayor yet. But he was very happy with the photo up at the Masjid al-Taqiyya, that he got the chance to take picture next to what he calls this man a spiritual leader, a good Imam of Islam. And I just told you this guy is an unindicted co-conspirator in the 1993 bombing. We got to go take our last ad break. Let's go do that. We'll come back and conclude on the rest of things Mamdani.
But with Brandon, it's always cutting edge stuff happening in the world, and it's not just from the political angle, because you can get that on other platforms, but it's always from the biblical angle. So you're dealing with a guy that loves Jesus. You're dealing with a guy that's very intelligent. You're dealing with a guy that is cutting edge conservatism, and you're dealing with a guy that wants to be biblical all at the same time. And so for that reason alone, I hope many, many people will not just lift up his ministry in prayer, but will also financially get behind it, because from the angle I'm trying to describe, he really is the only game in town. And we desperately need it in these last days. Can I get an amen to that?
Amen. Welcome back to Live Up to Freedom. Thank you so much for staying with me until now. I do want to encourage all of you to, I know it might be painful, whatever you want to call it, but I want you to dedicate 2 hours of your evening or weekend and go and watch this debate. Just like literally just look up the New York City mayoral debate and it pops up. It's 2 hours something. It's on YouTube, on so many different channels. But point is, this 2 hours is going to give you so much information, and I know it will give you because my audience is very well educated on these, you know, the hutna and the tekiya and the kitman and all of that. You guys are well versed on that. You'll pick up on everything I picked up. Again, we didn't have much time, and I felt like these clips are so important to be played. But the whole 2 hours, and again, not just about Mamdani, you also realize why I say Mamdani's going to win this. Unless Como, which I don't think he has enough popularity to pull an election fraud, Mamdani's taking the crown. He is. Now, with that being said, let me go ahead and address a couple of your comments and then expand this to where I titled this show today, Obama 2.0. We'll go there as soon as I address if there are any questions on the comments. For decades, this is Zelda saying, for decades, while in America, I noticed that the Republican candidates is someone that we did not want, but ended up voting for. Do you like the term uniparty? Zelda, I'm so glad you said this, because one of the things I was thinking yesterday was, do I need to do a show on the uniparty or do I write a Substack? I haven't decided yet. But uniparty is yet another terminology like Islamophobia. Okay, uniparty was created to create what we face today. That's not a Republican, that's a rhino, that's not a Democrat, that's a socialist, that's not a this, it's a that. It's a manipulation of words. There's a separate Substack I'm working on that opens with manipulation of words has been one of the strongest weapons of political agenda. And it didn't start in America, it didn't even start in Europe, it started from Middle East. All the empires in Middle East manipulated words to gain momentum, gain popularity. Point is, uniparty, there is no uniparty. Okay, there isn't. There is no Republican Party left. There is no Democrat Party left. However, the comfort zone of thinking they're still there, and then there's this just handful of bad guys from both sides, or all the other side bad, just bunch of bad ones on our side, is what has created the problem. That's exactly why I walked away from registered Republican Party 9 years ago and became independent. I saw the writing on the wall. It wasn't that hard to tell. It wasn't. So yes, I walked away. I'm like, there are no more parties. I will not play this game. I will not be fooled by these language and these manipulation of words. So hopefully that answered your question in a short clip version of it. As I said, I might do a show on it. I might just do a writing on it. Either way. When he refers to community policing, isn't that code for Sharia policing? It is within the Islamic community, yes. When he says community policing, he's definitely referring to not gradually, right now New York already has Sharia police for the no-go zones of Muslim population as it is. So yes, that is correct. Decoding of his English words. That's the thing. I by the way, so I want to say you guys are amazing. Thank you on Substack. I love that you're so engaging and you have questions, you have comments, and you don't censor me. I don't censor you. This is amazing. But this is directly for my audience on Substack. Unless you're planning to become a subscriber on Substack, would you be interested if I write a series, so it wouldn't be too long, series of what Muslim politicians mean when they use the English terminology of law, order, and politics? I can do that, but if you're interested, let me know and I will start working on it. I can make it into a series of part 1, 2, 3. Probably would need at least 3, maximum 5. Okay, back to Mamdani. So look, guys, this guy is young, charismatic. As I said, like him or not, he is charismatic. He is very coachable and he's got a good coach, whomever he is. I don't know yet. He is a socialist, yes. Which, by the way, socialism is the child of communism. So it's useless to say socialist. You might as well say communist. But okay, he's a socialist. Yes, we all know that. He has a democratic socialist leaning mindset, yes. But his Muslimhood has been his identity from day one. I want you to pay attention to that. He's been asked, are you a communist? He's like, no, I'm a Democrat socialist. But his Islam side has been his identity. And that is what makes him more dangerous. Yes, I'm that person. I always say Islam is more dangerous than socialist or globalist or communist because of, well, they are. Now, my strong belief and understanding is they are grooming him. Mamdani is going to be Obama 2.0 as president. Younger, sharper, bolder, a stronger victim cards on his hand, being in, Middle Eastern, Palestinian, Muslim, poor thing. And if that comes to happen, which I strongly believe it will, if that comes to happen, there won't be a chance of debating each other and fighting over, oh no, it's just 4 years of this and that. Where I'm going with this is in 2 weeks, he's going to win. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I have some false hope to talk to New York City people and say, oh, New York City, don't vote for the guy. I'm not going to do that because I don't like to hold on to a false hope. What I will say is, though he will be just a mayor, I need you to pay very close attention to his behavior, to his actions. Do not let him off the hook. Yes, a mayor, if it's not your mayor, you still have the right to put them under microscope. Hey, you still have the right to call to their side of a state and city and put pressure on the city and the state government. Just stop letting things go because you think New York is not worth saving, or California is not worth saving, Oregon is not worth saving, Illinois is not worth. Here's the thing. Every time you think another state, another city is not worth saving, when they come for you and nobody comes to save you, you don't get to complain because you played the same game. When I was going to Dearborn, Michigan for my speech in 2018, 17, yeah, 18. I think it was 18. When I received a call from their police department, I was asked, what can we do to change your mind not to come? I said, you can manage to revoke my citizenship where I don't have the right to not just Dearborn, Michigan, but to be in America anymore. The officer behind the phone was, we're doing this to protect you. This is for your own safety. We can't guarantee your safety in Dearborn, Michigan if you show up. And again, my response was, sir, I'm an American citizen. Every town, every zip code, every city, every state is America. So I show up. If you can protect me, so be it. If you cannot, so be it. And that has not changed. I have traveled to safe cities, not so safe cities. I have traveled where there was a bomb threat on the church. I have traveled when the church was filled with no threats. It doesn't matter. to sit back and say that town's gone, oh, that estate is gone. How long until all of it is gone? If you're sitting here happily cheering, I'm going to turn this back around to my favorite topic again. If you are sitting here praising, praying, saying, God bless President Trump for bringing peace to Gaza, then you're a hypocrite. When you don't care for jihadists conquering your own cities inside the states of your country. And when they are elected, you forget. You forget. If it's not your town, if it's not your zip code, if it's not your county, or if it's not your state, you forget. I understand the importance of, well, I don't actually. Right now, I don't even know what is the importance of federal government, considering the federal government of the United States of America has been shut down for 17 days, and all of our heads of our government are in Gaza. What is the importance of federal? This is a great test, people. Why do we have a federal government? Why? The president, the vice president, the advisor of Middle East, they're all in Egypt and Gaza and Israel. And the government is shut down over here. Why do we, seriously, I'm going to look at the comments. Answer me. Why do we have a federal government? And why are people so happy with current administration with what I just said? What I just said. 17 days shutdown. Our farmers are going on there. I didn't know this. I found out on Brown House Radio today that the number of suicide in farmers are growing. This is heartbreaking. We already had our veterans taking their life. Now we have farmers, and our federal government is over there. I was not going to go there. I'm going there. Have you seen the video of President Trump talking to a reporter, putting her down first, because that's what he does, right? If you don't agree with what he did, if you don't praise him and rub his ego, he becomes the most condescending man there is out there. So he becomes this condescending person. That is his natural behavior, and tells her that you don't know anything. What is the question? She says, you know, some farmers are unhappy with the deal you made with Argentina government to get beef from them. And some of the experts are saying that the Argentinian government is going to benefit more than our people, American people. It's like, well, first of all, you don't know anything. Argentina is barely alive. They're trying to survive. As Brian House said, well, that's because they decided to become communists. Point is, why are you all happy with all of this? What got to you? Government shut down. Heads of government in Middle East trying to find their way out of, keep face for the disaster they just created in the last 10 days. And we are about to have more Muslims running our states. I got to wrap up because I'm out of time. I appreciate you being here. liveuptofreedom.substack.com. liveuptofreedom.substack.com. Guys, I need 30 of you to step up and please become a paid subscriber of either monthly or annual subscription. I really need that by end of the month. lutfstudio.com. lutfstudio.com is where you can purchase my handmade resin art that is filled with Christmas theme right now. And there's 30% off entire store.